Guys, back with another video. This is E3 impressions video. E3 just finished. This is a bit late. A lot of people have kind of put out their thoughts on E3. I've been a little busy, so it's taken me a while to get this video out there, but hopefully people still care about it. I mean, E3 just kind of comes and goes, and then people just tend to forget about it until the next year. So I did my E3 anticipation video, and E3's come. I'm gonna try to not make this video too long, but there's a lot here I want to talk about. I don't know. I'm probably not going to talk about E3 in general too much. Like, I'll talk about the conferences. I'll talk about the main three conferences: Microsoft, Sony's, and Nintendo. I've got some notes here. EA's and Ubisoft's I'm not going to cover too much. I watched them all. I watched tons of E3 coverage. Like Nintendo's Treehouse, I was almost always watching that. I saw a lot on the internet for E3. But yeah, I'll try not to go too long. I could see this video going for longer than an hour though. So hopefully you're okay with that. You can pause the video or whatever. You don't have to watch the whole thing. I'm fine with that. But I guess I'll just start with saying I'll give my thoughts on EA's and Ubisoft's. I want to get theirs out of the way because. Like I said in my anticipations video, I said that I wasn't really looking forward to their press conferences as I've never really enjoyed them all that much. And my expectations were low for them, and they didn't even I don't know. I've come to the point where it's like anything, most of the stuff, I should say, most of the games EA and Ubisoft could show, I just have no interest in. We'll start with, I guess, EA, because they had, to me, the worst conference. It's just a very boring and dry conference with a lot of games that I wasn't interested in. They focused heavily on sports, like they always do, and I'm just not interested in those games. From what they did show, Dragon Age looks great. I like the Dragon Age games, so I do want to play Inquisition. But they don't really need to show me all that much footage. I was always going to buy that game. It's always looked good, but that was there. They showed that off for a bit. The most disappointing thing about their conference was Mass Effect. They had BioWare just talk about Mass Effect in general and say, "Oh, we're working on a new game and we're working on a new IP," and that was it. That's all we got, which was disappointing. It's exciting at the same time though. But again, BioWare just, to me at least, isn't the same as they used to be. They still make great games for sure, but I don't know. They've lost something. What else? I guess the most exciting thing at EA's conference was Mirror's Edge 2. I'm kind of surprised they're doing a Mirror's Edge 2, to be honest, because Mirror's Edge didn't sell all that well. But I guess there's a lot of fan demand for Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge 2. I loved Mirror's Edge. I thought that was a great game. This hopefully can fix a lot of the complaints that Mirror's Edge had. For instance, I hope they just remove guns completely. That kind of really made that game... The gun sections of that game weren't good. But I love the parkour in that game and the style, the look of it. Hopefully they can make the main character a bit more interesting too. Faith was not that interesting a character in Mirror's Edge 1. So hopefully there's at least a captivating story this time around. But other than that, what else did they show? I can't even think. It was such it just wasn't a memorable conference. Their conferences always are. Oh, Battlefield Hardline, which has got this cops and robbers hook to it. That didn't really interest me. Although if you're into Battlefield, that might be exciting to you. I know if they had a beta, you can get into a beta. They announced, oh, there's a beta out right now. My brother was playing that, and he's a pretty big shooter guy, and he didn't even like the beta all that much. So I don't know, or was it an alpha? I don't know. This stuff EA showed. I'm just not really interested in a lot of the stuff they develop or they publish, I should say. And that goes for Ubisoft's conference. From off the top of my head, there's this indie game they're doing. Well, it's not really an indie game. It's an Ubi art game. Valiant Hearts. It's a World War I kind of game. It looks very depressing. It looks interesting, and I think the storytelling might be really strong in that game. But it's almost even too depressing for me, and I'm not really. I don't know. I'm interested. It's coming out very soon, actually. I might actually look at that game. The game looked pretty interesting, but it's got a dog in it, and I just have this it seems like they're going to really go for that emotional, get at you emotionally with the dog, and that anything to do with dogs just really destroys me. But there was that, which was pretty interesting. That was about it. I mean, they had the Assassin's Creed. I don't care for Assassin's Creed. I've been done with that series for a while, and then this new one, nothing they showed made me go like, oh, I gotta have this. A new Rainbow Six game, which looked kind of boring to me, although there is a lot of hype with that one. I mean, if you've liked Rainbow Six in the past, this one looks to change some things in some interesting way, like really destructible environments where you can kind of use that to your advantage to rescue hostages. So that game is kind of interesting, and if you're into that. But for me, it's like Ubisoft's games just don't really do much for me. The conference itself, though, had a lot of energy to it. It was paced well. It was never boring, even though the games are. I just didn't care for the games. That's enough about Ubisoft and EA. And I think next year I'm just gonna not watch their conferences at all. So let's, I guess, jump right into Microsoft's here. I got this massive list of stuff. I'm gonna jump from game to game. Again, I kind of want to talk about the games more so than the conferences themselves. Microsoft this year, they surprised me. They really did. I wasn't expecting to enjoy their conferences as much as I did. There's a couple games here I want that are Xbox One exclusive. I was hoping they'd try to sell me on an Xbox One, and they're getting there. I don't think they're quite there yet for me, but a strong showing of just games. No bullshit with Microsoft this year. Just game after game after game, which even if most of these games I'm not interested in, at least they showed games, and none of this conference never dragged, which I thought was good. Definitely the biggest surprise this E3 I think was Microsoft's conference to me. They opened with Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty Advanced Future Warfight. I don't know. It's like futuristic. There's some cool elements to it. I gotta say, it looks a bit more different than we're used to with Call of Duty, but it still looks like it's still not something I want to play though. But if you like Call of Duty, or if you love first-person shooters and want Call of Duty to kind of change and do some different things, this might be good. I don't know. I mean, it looked gorgeous. I don't know if it was like a PC build they were using, but it definitely looked great. It's not something I want to play. Forza Horizon, a racing game, don't really care. If you're into racing games, though, I'm sure that's great. Evolve, this is a multi-platform game. It's like Left 4 Dead, I guess the same team that did Left 4 Dead, where it's like a 4v1, where one person's a monster and 4 people, and then there's 4 other people. I don't know. For me, it's like multiplayer games. Even co-op at this point, I get bored of them really fast. I don't know. Multiplayer is just not my thing. So I don't. That's a game that I might have fun with for like a couple of days, and then I'd just be done with it. So I'm not too interested in that. But the impressions out of E3 are that that game's pretty fun. So if you're into that, I mean, I'm sure that it's gonna be a great game. Assassin's Creed Unity, they showed that at this conference. Sunset Overdrive, Xbox One exclusive, comes out this year, 2014. At first, when they first showed this off, I thought this looked actually really cool. I do like, this trailer was really funny, where it like showed like a Call of Duty guy like behind cover, and then the main character of this game bursts in. It's like, oh, a cover shooter, and it made fun of that kind of stuff, which I thought was good. It reminds you, the game is basically like Jet Grind Radio mixed with a shooter. This really colorful world for you to explore, and you got to always keep your combo up, and you're killing guys, and it's very stylized. The problem I have, though, the more I look at this game, is I feel like it's a game that once you've kind of done everything, and like it seems like a game that would get old really quick, and I don't think there's going to be much of a story with this game, at least an interesting one. So the more I looked at gameplay and the more I read up on the game, apparently like the multiplayer, the impressions from E3, like the 8-player multiplayer, is that it's not that cool. Like the single player is actually more interesting. But yeah, I think it's something I'd probably get bored of really fast. So my hype's kind of died down a bit from that game. First time I saw it, I was like, oh, this looks awesome. And then the more I read up on it, the more I was less interested I became. Still, though, I think that's still going to be a good game. And if I got an Xbox One, I would probably buy that game. Okay, Capcom showed this DLC for Dead Rising 3. I don't even remember the name. It was like Dead Rising Ultra Super Mega Hyper Edition X Plus. Kind of poking fun at themselves, which props to Capcom for that. And it looks nuts, like pure Capcom fan service. Looks like a beat 'em up of some kind, like a DLC for Dead Rising 3. Which, yeah, that looks actually really cool. I'd play that. I know Dead Rising 3 is supposed to come out for PC, so maybe I can play that DLC at some point. I don't know, hopefully before like I get an Xbox One. They showed Dance Central. Personally, I don't really care, but hey, if you're into Dance Central, I'm sure that's good. Fable Legends. This looked like it. Okay, the Fable games. The Fable games have always been kind of like a guilty pleasure for me. I know they're not the greatest games out there, but I've always found them kind of fun. And I like just the humorous style to them. This looked like it sucked out all the humor. And it focuses on like co-op play, and one person can be like a villain, which is kind of cool, but I don't know. I don't know. Didn't look appealing to me at all. So I don't know. That was a shame. I almost would have preferred if they just went with like a Fable 4 or whatever, and in the style of the old games. Even though Fable 3 was a pretty big disappointment, at least in my opinion. Project Spark, which is that like create your own game thing Microsoft's doing. I don't know. I used to be into that kind of stuff, like a long time ago. Like the creation aspect of games. Like I was really into level editors and stuff like that. Not so much anymore, and this game's kind of fits into that. They did tease, like, at the end, they showed Conquer. Like, Conquer came up and was like, oh, it's been so long since my game, but hey, you can create your own Conquer game with Project Spark. And it was just, like, that pissed me off, honestly. Like they're like, they've got all these rare franchises and they just don't do anything with them. It just, and then they tease that. It's just, I don't know. Did they really need to do that? Ori and the Blind Forest. This was like an indie game, a very beautiful looking indie game. Like apparently it's like a 2D Metroidvania. That game looks good. I want to play that. I don't know if it's an exclusive. I think I heard it was on PC as well. So I'll probably play it there. But that game did look good. I do want to play that. Then Halo. Halo had to be at the conference. Halo Collection. Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think Halo 2 is like 60 FPS, dedicated servers for the online. If you're a Halo fan, this is probably pretty awesome. I'm pretty much done with Halo at this point, so it doesn't really interest me, but I'm sure the Halo fans were excited by that. And then like they teased Halo 5 Guardians. They like showed nothing on that game. Not going to be getting that, but I know like Chance, he's Chance Doomwaves, he's going to love that. Inside, which I guess is a new indie game from the guys that did Limbo. I didn't really like Limbo too much, so I don't know about this one. It looks more interesting conceptually, but I don't know. Well, I want to see more on this game. That short trailer was not really enough for me. I want to see more on that. They showed off like a bunch of indie games next, like a montage of indie games. There was a lot of cool looking stuff in there. I didn't know what a lot of it was. Some of the stuff looked familiar, but yeah, a lot of cool looking games there. I mean, again, I love indie games. I mean, that's where a lot of the times you'll see innovation in gaming these days are in those indie titles, and a lot of those looked cool. I definitely want to learn more about a lot of those. A new Tomb Raider they showed after that. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy that Tomb Raider reboot, and unless they like really focus on storytelling here, I don't see myself enjoying this next one. But hey, for the people that love Tomb Raider, it's good that that's getting a sequel. The Witcher 3 they showed, a multi-platform title, but this is like one of my favorite games of E3. Like, this game looks fucking fantastic. Visually stunning. I love the Witcher games. This looks to have the same great storytelling. It looks like they're fixing up the combat. A massive open world. It focuses on like monster hunts. It just looks amazing. Definitely check out The Witcher 3. Okay, the biggest surprise of Microsoft's conference. I had heard rumors that this was going to be a game, or that they were going to show this off. Phantom Dust, which is an original Xbox game that I really loved back in the day, and they're rebooting it. Hopefully they don't fuck it up, but Phantom Dust is a really, really cool game. A very hard game to describe, but very unique. So I'm actually, like, this was the most exciting thing of Microsoft press conference to me. Like, makes me want to go out and get an Xbox One. I just hope they don't make it like a free-to-play game or some bullshit like that. If they do that, I'll be pissed off. But I'm holding out hope. I think that's going to be a really cool game, and hopefully that will get some people to go back and try out Phantom Dust, because that's a really underrated game that not enough people played. Ubisoft showed off The Division. I think that was at their conference as well. That game to me looks completely boring. Multiplayer focused shooter. Not interested. I'm not interested in that game in the slightest. But if you're into that kind of thing, that might be good. I don't know. Platinum Games showed off like a CG trailer for a game called Scalebound. Looks like you like hunt monsters. It looks very crazy and over the top. It's Platinum Games. I'm sure that game's going to be awesome. Xbox One exclusive. One of the best things probably at the conference. So that's like that and Phantom Dust so far are games that I want to get Xbox One for. And then they ended off the show with a new Crackdown by the same guys that did Crackdown 1, not Crackdown 2, which I know a lot of people hate. I still liked it because collecting orbs was just still always really fun in that game. Crackdown 3, they showed just a CGI trailer. That game I'm very excited for, and again, I want an Xbox One for that game because Crackdown was fucking awesome. That said, though, they really have to up the ante, I think, with Crackdown, because now with the Saints Row games being super over-the-top, and Crackdown was kind of like that first game that went for the over-the-top superhero feel, but in, like, a normal city. I don't know, hopefully they can up the ante there, maybe with, like, a lot of, like, destructible, like, making the entire city destructible in some kind of fashion, but we'll have to wait and see to see more on Crackdown, but that was it. That was the Microsoft conference. A pretty solid conference. A lot of games that I wasn't interested in, but just enough there to keep it good. And definitely the biggest surprise. I don't really want to give like a grade or something. I don't know. It was just a solid conference overall. Okay, now I'll move on to Sony's, which I was pretty pumped for this conference, because usually Sony puts on good conferences, and I'm hoping they were going to show a lot of games. And there was one in particular that I was looking forward to the most in this conference. They started off showing Destiny, and a new bundle was announced, a white PS4 with Destiny, which actually is tempting for me. But let's talk about Destiny a bit. The more I look on this game, the less interested I am in it. I was excited for it on the first reveal and originally before this E3, but after watching alpha footage and stuff, again, it's one of those games where it's, it seems like it's like Borderlands in that way where if I was playing by myself, I could see it being a very boring game, whereas it would be really fun co-op, and I just don't, it's very hard to get people together to play co-op on that game, and it would never be for very long. If I had a group of people that I could play with constantly, or not constantly, but at a regular basis, I'm sure it would be fun, but I don't know, games where I have to play multiplayer to get the most enjoyment out of them, I'm just not into that much. It's kind of, I'm the world sounds interesting in this game. It's just, I wonder if they can really pull that off. I wonder if the story in this game is going to be that interesting. I mean, I've never actually been a huge fan of the Halo universe or storyline, so I don't know. And the gunplay looks solid. It's just nothing about Destiny is really blowing me away every time I look at it. And just, I don't know, every time I see gameplay, I'm just less and less interested in it. So at the point where I don't think I'm even going to get the game. A lot of hype behind it, obviously, but I think I'm okay with skipping on Destiny. But although I mean that bundle is very tempting, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They showed off The Order 1886, which I don't know, man. This game just to me looks so unappealing. I mean, visually it's stunning, and I love the Victorian setting, but gameplay-wise, from the stuff I saw, not only this video here, but other previews on it, it's like everything I don't like about AAA games and shooters in general. I mean, it's like a cover-based shooter where the enemies are complete bullet sponges. It's the controls look to be very finicky. It looks boring to play, and then there's quick time events, and it's constantly taking away control from you. a focus on like visuals and cutscenes, and I don't know, it just doesn't look for me. The Order. I love the setting, but I don't know. I mean, if the story is amazing, like it might be like the Last of Us type of game where, you know, even though the gameplay is not really for me, I can get past it because the story and characters are so gripping. But I don't know, I just don't see that being the case with this game. We'll have to wait and see until it gets closer to release. But I don't know, I don't find anything appealing about that game. Entwined, like an indie game that actually is on PSN right now. Looks kind of cool. I don't know. From what they showed, it seems like a game I'd have to get my hands on to see what it's really like. But yeah, Infamous First Light. It's like a DLC, but it's also standalone. I still have to play an Infamous game. I've never played one. When I get a PS4, I'll probably get Second Son to see what the fuss is all about. But I don't know. I can't really say much on the DLC. Although it is cool out standalone. Little Big Planet 3. I was a part of AGP. Like we did like this. We like watched had like a live. Watched the Sony conference live, and we were all kind of shitting on this game pretty bad. Just not really for the game itself, more how long it went on. Like they just showed this game for like it felt like an eternity, and it's like it's the same thing as Little Big Planet 1 and 2. I'm not interested really. I've never really liked Little Big Planet because I'm not into the creation aspect, and then the platforming itself is like really slow, and I hate the physics, and I don't know. Little Big Planet's just not for me. But they definitely showed this like way too long. Like it was just went on forever. Okay, this next game. I might go on a bit long with this game because this is my game of E3. Like this, out of everything I've seen at E3, this is the game I want the most. It's the best game. And that's Bloodborne, which I know a lot of you know I'm a huge Souls fan. This is From Software's next game. Miyazaki directed. They just showed a CGI trailer, so you might be questioning, well, how is it your game of show when all they showed was a CGI trailer? The history of this game is so fascinating to me. Before E3, like weeks before E3, like screenshots were leaked of this game called Project Beast, where it looked very much like a Souls game. Just short little clips, and the hype was insane. It looked amazing. And then gameplay was leaked that looked like it was from some kind of trailer, and it looked very Souls-like, very dark, like almost Victorian era setting, almost a very horror theme too. Like I don't know, it looked amazing. And so going into E3, I was pumped to see more gameplay of this. Like obviously, a lot of people were thinking this Project Beast is going to be at E3, and then it was in the form of Bloodborne, just no gameplay. So originally, I was disappointed. I was like, oh, but they had leaked gameplay. That is until the press got to see this game. They got to see like a 30-minute gameplay demo behind closed doors, and the impressions from that was that it looked incredible visually. And there's a lot of info. I should almost make like an entire video for this game. But yeah, 45 seconds of that off-screen footage got, well, not really leaked, but it got out there, and it looks fucking amazing. Like the character design is absolutely stunning. You like dual wield weapons, but there's two-handed weapons as well. It's more fast-paced and aggressive combat. Like there's no shields in this game compared to the Souls series, so you got to do a lot of dodging. It seems a lot faster. Your weapons can like switch forms. It's got like the level design apparently of like Dark Souls, where it's like a giant city that's interconnected. You still pick up like some kind of soul item from enemies. There's character progression, character customization. It's really dark. Like the enemy design apparently is really cool. Enemies like roam around the maps. Like they're not in static positions anymore. Like everything's really dynamic. Like the impressions from E3 from the press is that this is an amazing game, and from that short little 45 second gameplay clip, it does. The reason they didn't show that though is because the frame rate is like maybe like 20 FPS or so. Like it's got some frame rate issues, and if they showed that in the public, a bunch of fucking idiots would come along and say, "Oh, this looks like trash. The frame rate's garbage. This game's gonna suck." Which I almost want to. I'll go on a rant on this. Like, it blows my mind how so many people are stupid. This stupid to look at a game like a pre-alpha footage of a game at E3 and then say that it's shit or the frame rate is shit or it looks ugly, assuming like the game comes out in like a week. It blows my mind how people can be so dumb. I don't know. But what is it, like a day ago now, the old footage, the old trailer where the old gameplay was leaked from, surfaced on YouTube, and people got a hold of it. It was supposed to be shown, like this was supposed to be shown at like last year's Tokyo Game Show, but the frame rate's not too great in this footage, so I guess they just didn't show it. If you can find this leaked trailer, like holy fuck, like this game looks incredible. I mean, this is old footage too. Like this was before the graphics got a major overhaul in this 45-second clip that's going around now. But man, like the like enemy design in this game, like the speed, like the setting in this game. I don't want to talk too much about this game, but it's like, my God, this game looks fucking amazing. Also, for the people that found like Dark Souls to be too punishing, like Miyazaki said, they're trying to make it less, like the death penalty less harsh, but still keeping that combat really brutal and difficult. He wants like every fight to feel like a life and death kind of thing where you really struggle to get through it. So I mean, if you found the Souls series like a bit too slow with its combat, or you don't like how harsh that death penalty is, this game might still appeal to you. I think this game might be able to bring in some new fans, hopefully, yet still satisfy the Soul audience. And like the story sounds interesting too, where you come to this city that's known for like an old ancient medicine, and in all the inhabitants here are either like alive or have this illness that kind of turns them into beasts. So you'll find a lot of enemies in the city. There's like NPCs apparently that are just on their way. They might be fighting monsters. If you save them, they might come about later and help you with a boss battle. Apparently they're doing some kind of unique online mode later that they haven't really talked about, but it's apparently like a very that focuses on like a co-op exploration. And like one of the themes of the game, Miyazaki said, was like the exploration of the unknown, which, like, it's just like this game is just like my dream game. Like it's like I was really hyped for Dark Souls 2, but this is just on a whole other level. Like I cannot fucking wait for this game. Like it's just like after watching that leaked trailer and the 45-second gameplay clip and the reading all the previews, like I've done so much. Like I've almost looked up on too much information on this game. I should probably like go on like a media blackout now, because the hype is at extreme levels right now. But that's enough about Bloodborne. I know people that are not interested in the Soul series at all are probably have stopped watching the video by now or skipped ahead. Yeah, Bloodborne, definitely my favorite game of E3. But after that, they showed Far Cry 4, which I haven't played Far Cry 3 yet. This looks pretty cool. It's, a giant open world game with a very, like, the villain they showed off was very, like, eccentric. I don't know, it could be good. Again, after Watch Dogs, Ubisoft games are starting to, like, kind of, like, I don't know, I gotta be a bit hesitant on Ubisoft games now after Watch Dogs, but Dead Island 2, they showed, like, this really goofy trailer for, in contrast to that really sad trailer that they showed last time. Dead Island 2, not really interested. Dead Island is, like, a janky mess that focused way too much on co-op for my tastes. Disney Infinity, I think I just like skipped past that or paused. I don't know. I wasn't even paying attention to that because I just don't have any interest. The Diablo 3, like they showed off like Last of Us monsters are going to be in Diablo 3 for PS4. I don't know. Magicka 2. I've never played Magicka, but this trailer was like a really humorous trailer showing Magicka 2. It makes me kind of want to play it, although the gameplay looks kind of, I don't know if it looks really like my kind of game, but I'd be maybe a bit interested to hear more on that. Because this was a big surprise out of Sony's conference. Grim Fandango, like a remaster for like I think Vita and PS4. I could be wrong on that. It might be just PS4. This was out of nowhere. A lot of cheering for this. Grim Fandango is a game I've never played, but I've always wanted to. So this was a nice surprise. I mean, I could probably find some way to play it on the PC, but, the fact that this is a remaster on PS4, hell yeah, I'll definitely play this. That game always looked really cool to me, so that's definitely one of the bigger surprises of Sony's conference. a company, Devolver Digital, a publisher. They showed off like a bunch of indie games, some really cool looking ones that I definitely want to get my hands on. Suda51, there's a game called Let It Die. They showed like a kind of CGI trailer. My hype for this game has definitely died down now that it's been shown, like it's announced as a free-to-play game. It looks like you maybe like kill guys very gorily and like get their equipment and stuff. It's got some like RPG elements to it. The free-to-play though scares me off. I just free-to-play games, like seriously, fuck free-to-play. God, I hate that. Next, they showed off Abzu, I think it's called. I think it's done by like a lot of the guys that worked on Journey, and it looks kind of similar to that, but like underwater. It's probably going to be more like exploration based, like underwater exploration. It looks pretty damn cool, I gotta say. I love the art style. That could be like another game that's as interesting as Journey. We don't know much about that game right now, but definitely looks cool. I'm for sure gonna play that. No Man's Sky. This was a big surprise, I think, for a lot of people. Although we had seen it at PAX East, like a procedurally generated space exploration game. It's visually absolutely stunning. It's insane that such a small team worked on this game. I don't know. Like, this game could be either like a massive disappointment or one of the best things ever. Really, we don't know yet. I'm kind of curious, like, what is like exactly the point of the game? Like, I mean, is it just kind of like a game where you keep exploring endlessly and you kind of keep coming back to it? Like, it's a game that doesn't really, I don't know, doesn't have like any kind of goal to it. I don't know. We need to know a bit more on this game, but it's definitely interesting. It's unique. We've never seen anything like it. It's definitely one of my favorite games of E3 for sure. Even though it could end up being a very disappointing game, we'll have to see. But yeah, that's definitely a cool looking game. This is where the conference really dropped off, though. Like, up until this point, I was really enjoying it, with the exception of like Little Big Planet going on forever. But they had like the CEO of Sony America or whatever come out, and he was like this very like business type guy, like just very boring. And it's like they talked about like Project Morpheus, which I don't care about. Like a bunch of free to play games, don't care about. PlayStation Now, don't care about it. PSTV, which is actually pretty cool, but it's of no use to me really. And yeah, just a bunch of business shit, and that part of the conference dragged on forever. That really sucked. But yeah, there was after that. Yeah. Mortal Kombat X though was shown after he left, which, I'm not a big fighting game fan. In fact, I pretty much generally hate fighting games, but I think I want to play this. Mortal Kombat, the previous one apparently had like a really beefy story mode, which that's like, to me, I'll play a fighting game if there's like a really beefy story mode and story content. I just don't like playing them with other people. I think a general thing with me, I just don't like playing video games in general with other people. But this looks like really fun. The fatalities are just completely nuts. I don't know. It looks like a lot of fun. I gotta say, I am actually interested in Mortal Kombat. After that, the conference got shitty again, showing some like comic book TV series or something called Powers. Like, I just completely drowned this out. Like, I didn't. Because it's, I don't know. Don't really care. Ratchet and Clank, they showed like a clip from a movie. They're doing a movie. Again, I don't care. Like, a lot of this stuff, maybe some of you are interested in it. Personally, though, I just don't really care about a lot of this stuff. The Last of Us PS4 remaster. A lot of people, I think, are excited for this. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, these remasters of games that came out, like, not even a year ago. It's kind of, I don't know, to me it kind of feels like a money grab. And looking at gameplay, like, the game looks almost exactly the same. Like, there's not much of an overhaul. I think the most notable thing is, like, the frame rate being 60 frames per second. But is that really worth, like, paying $70? Like, in Canada, the Last of Us remaster is $70. Like, is that really worth it? Like, I don't think so. I think it's got the DLC on there too, but I mean, like, I like Last of Us, but I mean, that's insane. I mean, it's probably good for people that haven't played it, but I'm pretty sure most people have played Last of Us. I I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about these remasters. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 is getting one as well, and it's like these games just came out. It feels like, do we really need this? Like barely, like this like full priced remaster that barely updates the graphics. Like I don't know. I don't really feel that strongly about these remasters. I think it's kind of sketchy to me. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, they showed off a trailer that like this trailer, like it's kind of cool, but I know nothing about Metal Gear, so it's like I'm so confused during this trailer. I watched some like off-screen gameplay and got like gameplay impressions. As someone that's not into Metal Gear primarily for the gameplay, this game actually sounds really fun. I didn't know about Peace Walker before this, and apparently this game shares a lot of elements with Peace Walker. Like, this game sounds really cool from a gameplay standpoint. It's making me want to get like that Legacy collection on the PS3 and just going through all the Metal Gear games just so I can get Phantom Pain. Because from a gameplay standpoint, it actually sounds really fun. It's got like RPG elements and shit. I don't know. Like I'm tempted to now go back and play Metal Gear because the gameplay sounds awesome. But Arkham Knight, they showed Batman Arkham Knight, one of the best looking games at E3, I think. Like this game just blew me away graphically. Looks really fun. I haven't played Arkham City or Arkham Origins, and I think I'm gonna jump back into the Batman games with this one when it comes out. It looks great. And I guess the last thing they showed was Uncharted 4. You know me, I'm not into Uncharted, so I didn't care about this. It looked great, I guess, and it was like in-engine gameplay, I guess. I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna talk about Uncharted and why I don't like it, but I just not interested. Though Uncharted fans, I'm sure, are going crazy over that little clip they showed. And that was it. So Sony's, there was, I think, more stuff that interested me here than the Microsoft conference. I mean, Bloodborne alone is enough for me to, get hyped and to get me to get a PS4. But, I mean, Vita, there was hardly any representation of the Vita. They showed, like, a few games that we had already known were coming out, like Tales of Hearts R. There's a game called Freedom Wars on Vita that was at E3. They just didn't show it at the conference, which actually looks friggin' amazing. It's like this really cool, it's like kind of like a Monster Hunter kind of type game, but a lot of mobility there. It's got a cool setting and a cool storyline to it. Why didn't they show that? Like, that's a really cool game coming out on the Vita. It's really a shame that the Vita is just, they need to show more games. I mean, it's good for like the niche JRPGs, but I mean, we need more than that. The Vita's a great handheld, so I don't know. I guess the only other notable thing I could say about Sony, like Square Enix announced like Final Fantasy Type 0 is going to be coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Where was that at Sony's conference? Like that should have been probably, I think that should have been there. There was a bit of controversy there. It was supposed to be on Vita, and then they said it wasn't going to be afterwards, and people were getting pissed, but again, that's a shame, and I feel bad for like those guys working on the translation that just came out because they worked so hard on that, and then HD version on PS4. But that I'm definitely interested in playing. I definitely want to play that. And I guess finally time for Nintendo, and I see I'm already like at the 40-minute mark pretty much, but I knew this was going to go on long, but whatever. Let's talk about Nintendo, which again, like Microsoft, a nice surprise. I just really didn't care for their conference last year. And I guess this year, well, they did some kind of direct last year. This time it was called a digital event, which, you know what, I kind of like this as opposed to like the live conferences. Live conferences are very awkward. There's too much fluff. I thought the pacing here was probably the best, other than maybe Microsoft, just because all they pretty much did was show games. And there was some parts that dragged here in Nintendo's, but yeah, let's get right into it. They started off showing Mii fighters for Super Smash Brothers, which is cool. I definitely like that. But Smash Brothers as a game, you know what? I'm thinking I might actually not even get the Wii U version of Smash Brothers. It's weird for me. I used to like Smash Brothers a lot. Melee and the original, back when they came out, I played that game to death with my friends. But just recently, like a couple weeks ago, I was playing Brawl and Melee with a group of my friends, and I just was not having any fun. And I started to think to myself, maybe I'm just not into Smash Brothers the way I used to be. And when I look at footage of this new one, it's not grabbing me. It's not. I don't look at this new Smash Brothers, and I don't see something like I really want to play. I don't feel any hype for it. Even with all these new character announcements and things, I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe it's just not for me anymore. So I don't know. We'll see. As we get closer to release, maybe I'll start feeling some hype for it, and I'll end up picking it up. But as far as right now, I don't know. I'm not really feeling it, but obviously this is a huge game. They had this tournament going on during E3 that had a huge positive reaction to it. A lot of Smash Brothers fanatics, and this looks to be a better game than Brawl, at least for them. But they talked a lot about Smash Brothers. Amiibo, which is like their figurine Skylanders thing, which I could care less about. I just don't need that stuff, and I would never want to spend all that much money. But people that are into that, this is big, and it's a great idea from Nintendo. I mean, even though it borrows from like the Skylanders, it is a good idea for them. It's just not something I'm interested in. Yoshi's Woolly World. This game looks okay. It's got a really cool like yarn art style to it, but it's looks like it's like Kirby Epic Yarn in that it looks way too easy, and like it looks very slow paced, and just it's like one of those like puzzle platformers, which I'm just not really into. It looks a lot better than this 3DS Yoshi game that just came out, but and the music's really awesome from what I've heard. It's just, again, not really my type of game. I'm probably not going to get that. I have it pre-ordered. Like, I have most of these E3 games like pre-ordered. Like, Best Buy Canada had this crazy deal, or apparently they do it every year, and I didn't even know they did, where it's like 30% off like every E3 announced game. So I just pre-ordered a bunch of shit, and if I don't want it, I can just like cancel it or return the games or whatever. But like, I got it pre-ordered, but I can see myself canceling this one. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker they showed after this, which I guess is like based on like a mini game in Super Mario 3D World. I still haven't played that game. I need to play that game. I don't know what's taking me so long. It looks all right. It's very puzzle oriented, like these kind of environments that you kind of rotate around, and you're Toad, and you're solving puzzles and things. It looks very clever. I'll give it that. It looks very clever. I don't know if it's my type of game, again, because I'm just not into puzzle-oriented gameplay of any kind. But I think this is going to turn out to be a really good game, for sure, because I think it's by the guys that did Super Mario 3D World, so I think this is going to be a good game. Is it going to be like a digital title or full-priced? I don't know yet. Hopefully not full-priced. It looks like a digital title, but I could be wrong. Zelda Wii U, which looked fucking amazing. I mean, there's a lot of hype for this, and I'm right there with a lot of people. It looks fucking gorgeous. It was actual gameplay, apparently. They didn't show much on it. I wish they showed more. But from what they were saying, it sounds right up my alley. A giant open world where you can tackle anything in any order. It looks like they've learned their lessons from Skyward Sword and Link Between Worlds. Hopefully this is like that follow-up to Wind Waker I've always wanted. I love Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, don't get me wrong. They just, they lacked in comparison to Wind Waker for me. So hopefully this is like up there with Wind Waker. Definitely very excited. But again, we don't know too much about it, so it's hard to get too hyped for it. But again, I've like been a long time Zelda fan, so of course this is crazy exciting for me. Pokemon Alpha, Sapphire Alpha, whatever, I don't know. I think I'm done with Pokemon for a while. I don't think I need to play any more Pokemon for at least a few years, so I think I can safely pass on this. It's going to sell a shit ton of copies for Nintendo, though, that's for sure. It's a smart business move. And those that love Pokemon, I mean, this is, of course, going to be really exciting. Bayonetta 2 looks batshit insane, and I want it right now. It's an October 2014 release. It's this year, which is awesome. A great second-party game. Is it really second-party? I guess maybe third-party. I don't know. Platinum Games. The Bayonetta one was the first Bayonetta was one of my favorite games of the last generation. It's even included with Bayonetta 2, which is fucking awesome. Looks gorgeous. I'm sure it's just gonna be just as crazy. It looked crazy. Like the bosses looked insane in this video they showed. So actually, definitely one of the best games I think they showed for me. Hyrule Warriors. which is that like Dynasty Warriors Zelda game. I was watching this game like on Nintendo Treehouse and just getting impressions. I don't know. I've got it pre-ordered. I don't know if I want this game or not. I look at the gameplay and it looks really boring to me, but I don't know. It could be fun. I mean, I'm a pretty big Zelda fan, but I don't think I want to get this just because of the Zelda stuff. I've played Dynasty Warriors before, and I really don't like those games, so I don't know. I'm so iffy on this game. I still have no idea if I want to get this or not. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, they showed off next, which is, I guess, kind of like a spiritual successor. Well, actually, it's pretty much a sequel to Canvas Curse on the DS, which I never played. Looking at gameplay on this, though, I don't think this is too interesting to me. It looks just annoying to play. I don't know. It just looks very like it'd be very frustrating. I mean, I could be wrong. I still need to play Canvas Curse. Of course, I have this game pre-ordered, but who knows? Maybe I'll really love Canvas Curse, and then this game I'll be super excited for. It's got like a clay look to it, which is really cool. And in fact, most of these games I've been talking about like look fantastic on the Wii U. And hell, like I mean, they're bringing out games for the Wii U. I mean, they're actually starting to support the Wii U with more games. Most of them are Nintendo games, so if you're not a Nintendo fan, a lot of these probably won't appeal to you, but for me at least, there's a lot of games here, even though a couple of them I'm kind of feeling iffy about. Xenoblade Chronicles X was next. They showed a trailer. The Treehouse stuff had more on like the gameplay of this game. I don't really like the character designs in this game all that much. Like, I think they're kind of ugly, especially like the faces, but watching the Treehouse stuff, like this game looks gorgeous. Like the environments are crazy. The sense of scale in this game is absurd. It looks like that has that same kind of Xenoblade battle system. I mean, I like Xenoblade from what I've played of it, so I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'm glad it's like you don't need to have to finish the story in Xenoblade to jump into this one. It's not like a direct sequel or anything. It looks like a lot of fun to play. It looks absolutely huge. I'm into it, man. I'm very excited for this. It is a shame, though. It's a 2015 game. But hey, it's another great game to look forward to on the Wii U. Then they showed Mario Maker, which make your own Mario levels. It looks very limited right now. Apparently it's going to have a lot more options later. This is one of those things where I'm not interested in it right now, but if this had come out like 5 or 6 years ago, I would have been way into this. I mean, I was big into level editor stuff. But this is a smart move from them. I think a lot of people are going to get into this with like the sharing features of the Wii U. But not really for me, but I can definitely see why a lot of people would be excited for this. I just wish I was more into this, like the level creation stuff, like I used to be. Splatoon, which is kind of what they ended off with, which is like this game's really cool conceptually. It's like a 4v4 online multiplayer shooter, but you use ink and you're kind of covering these areas and you're trying to go for the highest percent, and you can like swim under your liquid. You're like a squid human type thing. It's hard to describe. You really got to watch like gameplay of this, but it's like leave it to Nintendo to like look at like online competitive shooters and to kind of like take that concept and get rid of the actual shooting people and making it more interesting. It's the most creativity we've seen in a shooter in quite a while. Striking art style here. So, I mean, like, Splatoon looks cool, but again, it's online competitive multiplayer game. I just don't see myself playing it. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's just not something I'm interested in. And then I guess they ended off with Project Guard, Project Giant Robot, and the new Star Fox, which like use the Wii U gamepad in some interesting ways. Project Guard and Robot looked kind of lame to me. A new Star Fox is exciting. It was like a very early version, a prototype version that they didn't show to the public. But the fact that that's going to be an actual game is very interesting. I just don't know if I like the fact that it's going to make use of two screens. You gotta like look at your gamepad and then look at the screen and kind of go between the two. I don't know how well that's gonna work. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But Nintendo overall solid, like all three of them, I think. I mean, there's enough games here I'm interested in. I think the interesting thing with Nintendo's conference, I've seen a lot of polarizing reactions to this. I've seen people think this was like the best conference in years, and that Nintendo won E3. And at the same time, I've seen people like to say that they were awful and just appealing to just the hardcore Nintendo fan, which I'm kind of in the middle where admittedly, if you're not into Nintendo's franchises, this nothing here is probably going to appeal to you too much. I mean, there's Bayonetta and Xenoblade, but other than that, it's the first party Nintendo stuff as usual. Nintendo's kind of doing what they always have done. But I mean, they did show off a lot of new games, and it's for me at least. I don't really regret the Wii U, getting the Wii U, although I didn't pay full price for it or anything, and I did genuinely want one because I kind of figured they would show off a bunch of new games. And a weird thing is, though, showed off like a game, Itagaki's Devil's Third, like on IGN, like after the press conference, which was weird. I don't know why they wouldn't have shown that. Well, I kind of do. That game looks to have some really cool multiplayer ideas. That game looks pretty rough, though. Like the frame rate was janky, the animations were pretty terrible. Visually, it was pretty ugly. It looked very generic. The single player stuff wasn't looking too great in my opinion, but the multiplayer stuff was cool. I think with some polish, though, that game could be. I mean, the first time I saw it, I thought it looked like really terrible, but the more I looked up on it, the better it looked. I think that might be a good like B tier game when it comes out. Although it is kind of frustrating that they didn't show that at the conference. I keep saying conference, but their digital event. But yeah, solid overall. Again, quite a few games I'm interested in, and then a lot that I'm not really interested in. But when people say, "Oh, they won E3," I don't know about the digital event, but they had this. I've mentioned this Treehouse event where they had like a bunch of like Nintendo employees. I guess it's like their localization team. Showcase all these Nintendo games, like, and have really long, in-depth looks at them. They were streaming live for all 3 days of E3. They'd bring in new games. They had a lot like the people at Treehouse have great personalities, and they're really passionate about the games and confident in the games. It was this really cool idea that I wish other like Sony and Microsoft were doing this, and I think it's probably the best thing to come out of this E3 in general. This Treehouse Live thing was really, really cool. Of course, a lot of the games they showed I just wasn't interested in, but the stuff that I was interested in, like Xenoblade, for example, it was so cool to get such an in-depth look at that game. And I think really other like Sony and Microsoft should take note. And I hope Nintendo does this next year. I thought it was really cool, and it didn't feel like very like PR heavy. You could tell the people that were there were really enjoying these games and we're excited to show these games off. It was great. I was really glued to that, even for games that I wasn't really necessarily interested in, like Hyrule Warriors. The guy playing that game on Treehouse Live was so enthusiastic about it that it was hard for me not to be slightly enthusiastic about it as well. To me, Nintendo probably did have the best E3 in that regard because the Treehouse was such a great idea, even though the digital event, like Splatoon, for instance, on the digital event, I think they talked about that game way too much. And then like like I said before, there's just stuff that didn't interest me. But at the same time, I can understand people's viewpoints that think that they had a terrible digital event. Because I mean, again, yeah, if you're not into those Nintendo franchises, you probably were thinking that was pretty terrible. And I guess the last thing to mention about Nintendo is they had an unannounced 3DS game that they were teasing. Like they had like a 90-minute developer roundtable for it. Only press got to see it. Until at least the following day of E3. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be a Majora's Mask remake or a Mother 3 or a Mother compilation, which was wishful thinking, at least on my part. And they even teased Mother 3. They had like I forgot to mention like Robot Chicken did like some sketches or whatever for Nintendo's E3 digital event, which I thought added some, like, I'm not a huge Robot Chicken guy, but at least it, there was a nice energy and humor to that digital event that I liked. It wasn't, it definitely wasn't boring. But this 3DS game was a new IP. It wasn't Majora's Mask, it wasn't a new Metroid like a lot of people wanted, called Codename Steam. A really crazy game from Intelligent Systems, like a steampunky London where like I don't even want to say too much about this game. You definitely look up gameplay. I know like the art style is like influenced by like apparently like American comic books, and when they first showed this off, like the gameplay and the pictures. In fact, actually, even afterwards, like there was a lot of hype when they were describing this game, but as soon as the like gameplay got leaked, well, not really leaked, but gameplay was shown, the amount of hatred for this game I've seen on like message boards and shit, it's pretty baffling to me. I don't know. I think this game looks pretty fun. I mean, it looks over the top. It looks like there's a lot of confusing systems thrown in there. It reminds me of like Valkyria Chronicles. It's like a third-person shooter mixed with like turn-based strategy and some RPG stuff. A lot of different elements thrown in. I hope it all works together. A lot of people are saying it looks very confusing and it's a hideous game. A lot of people are hating on the art style. I don't think it's that bad. I guess if you're really into American comic books, or like again, I don't like in terms of the influences of that art style. Apparently, it looks nothing like them, so I think that's what people are disappointed in. It looks like a fun game, though. It's definitely a game that I think probably plays better when you're actually playing it and not watching other people play it. I hope they release a demo of it. I think people might like that game more if they do release a demo. I really hope they do. But I'm definitely interested. I don't have like crazy hype for it, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more on that game. That 2015 game too. Yeah, that's about covers it. All three conferences I thought were solid. A solid E3 in general. And I think the biggest takeaway from this E3 is, though, that 2015 is going to be fucking insane. Honestly, I think 2015 will be the best year in gaming ever. I don't say that lightly. I mean, the fact that we have, like, Bloodborne, the new Zelda coming out, The Witcher 3, like, all these Wii U games that I mentioned, No Man's Sky, I think, is 2015, Metal Gear Solid 5, it's, like, Uncharted 4, like, the Monster Hunter 4 on the 3DS, like, this, like 2015's Persona 5. How could I forget about Persona 5? It wasn't at E3 or anything, but man, like 2015 is gonna be fucking nuts. It's gonna be fucking nuts. There's gonna be too much to play. There's gonna be too many good games. But that was my main takeaway from E3. A lot of exciting 2015 stuff and some interesting games coming out for the rest of 2014. Yeah, I've gone on long enough. This video is way too long at this point. What do you guys think of E3? What were your favorite conferences? What were your least favorite? What were your favorite games at E3? But yeah, that will about do it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.